Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tom Sun, the chairperson for the SPGA Associate and Mentorship Committee. We have a special guest today, Natalie Pavaldi from Emerald Isle Golf Course in Oceanside. She is a level 2 associate. She just became level 2 recently after passing a level 1 test. She completed her level 1 portfolio in the quickest possible time that I know, I think a few months. And she's going to tell us her story, her journey, how she works full time at the same time completing a level 1 portfolio so quickly. I think it's going to be very, very important takeaways from her journey, so we could, all the associates on this call can apply our takeaways to his or her level 1 portfolio and get done with level 1, hopefully sooner than later. And then we'll talk about all the best practices of Natalie teaching the youth at our course. She's done great things for Emerald Isle the last 3-4 years, and we'll hear all about that as well. So I think it's going to be a very informative and helpful discussion today on today's town hall. So let's get started. So Natalie, welcome. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me. This is great.
I just wanted to, maybe first question I want to ask you is your background. Tell us about yourself and where you're born, school, what you've done at Emerald Isle, and highlights. That'd be very helpful.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Oceanside, California. For those of you that don't know, that's the same city that Emerald Isle's in. So I'm very proud to be a part of Emerald Isle. I'm a big Oceansider, plan to be here the rest of my life. I played all kinds of sports growing up. I hated golf. I wouldn't have played golf if you paid me growing up. Played basketball, softball, surfing, snowboarding, pretty much anything besides golf. When I was 13 years old, my grandpa kind of introduced me to the game, and I just fell in love. Within a couple of years, I quit all my sports and played in high school. And then I played at Rancho Buena Vista High School in Vista, and played all varsity all 4 years. Was kind of new to the game at the time, but earned a scholarship to the University of Colorado, Boulder. I played there for 3 years on the travel team. And my junior year, after my junior year, I decided to transfer and play at San Diego State. So I played under Coach Leslie Spalding, who I know is a PGA member. She was a great coach. I loved my time at San Diego State. After I finished at San Diego State in 2017, I graduated. I went to Q school that year, went through stage 1 of Q school, got Symetra Tour status, which is now the Epson Tour, played and traveled around the country pretty much full time. And in my off season is kind of when I meandered over to Emerald, introduced myself to Holly, and kind of asked if I could just practice there. That's kind of how that relationship started. And after a little while of practicing and continuing to compete in the off season, I asked if there was any positions open for me to even wash carts, get some spending money and some gas money when I was back in town, and the rest was history. So I think that was maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, John, Holly, but maybe 2018, 19 is when I joined the Emerald Isle team.
Yes, correct. Sorry.
There you go. Perfect. No, you're good. And from there, started in the cart barn, working outside, worked my way inside, and sort of had some conversations with both of them, especially John, about starting a little Friday clinic. That was kind of the introduction into coaching for me there. Started a little Friday clinic. It was like a drop-in, 3:30 to 4:30, $10 clinic. And that's kind of where the coaching began. And that was probably 2 years ago. And I didn't start fully doing instruction there until this last year. So 2022 is the first year I did full-time instruction at Emerald.
Thank you so much, Natalie. That was a great introduction of yourself. Now understand where you are today. But let's get into the main reason why we have in the call is the portfolio itself. Before we get there, what was the catalyst for you to decide to become a PGA professional?
So there was a couple of things. I had to have shoulder surgery about 1.5 years ago, and it was long overdue. And I was playing and competing full time before that. I was working, but my heart was in playing and competing. I had to hang up my clubs for 9 months during my recovery. And when I had to do that, I kind of had to look in the mirror and say, what makes you tick? What do you love? And why are you doing this? And competing was part of it, but it wasn't everything. It was also coaching, teaching, and growing the game. And I had John and Holly in full support of me, whether I was playing, whether I didn't want to play, whatever I wanted to do. And they never once came to me and said, oh, you have to go to PGA if you want to instruct here. Oh, you have to do this or that. But they just gently told me about their experience, which has been very positive, and just kind of shed light on the program. And they just kind of like put the bug in my ear, I guess is the best way to go about it. And after I healed up from my surgery, I went back to playing, and I kind of realized that there was something I was missing in my life, and growing the game was definitely it. And so I signed up for I think you have to get the background check first. And then I came into their office, I'll never forget. And I was like, I'm doing it. And they were really happy, really proud. And I enjoyed being able to come to that conclusion on my own, but be influenced inadvertently by John and Holly that were such good influences on me, and able to kind of show me the way without forcing me down any specific route in the PGA.
That's great. That's why I think PGA is a great association. You have mentors like John and Holly who, as you said, shed the light and able to get started within a great association as a PGA professional. So when did you become an associate?
I went to level 1 seminar shortly after I became an associate, end of February, beginning of March. I think it was like that last couple days of February, beginning of March.
Of this year?
Yeah, of this year.
Okay.
And then I completed, finished, and had my portfolio graded by the end of May. By like the 3rd week of May, it was like back, and I had the approval of my portfolio. So I think it was about 6 weeks that I turned it in, and then a week to get it graded.
That's really impressive. 4 years ago, was it? When I started 2017, I completed level 1, I think within a year, which I thought was kind of fast at the time, but I guess not. 6 weeks is a lot faster than 1 year. So, so what is your magic sauce of getting it done in 6 weeks, which is I never heard of. I don't think anyone's gonna done so quickly, especially level 1 being the toughest and the longest and most challenging. What was it? Daily, weekly schedules that allow you to get this accomplished in such a short period of time?
First and foremost, I think my experience as a student athlete shaped my ability to time manage appropriately. I may not work, at the course 8 hours a day full time, but I'm teaching full time. By the time you come home and you have, marketing management type of emailing, responding to things, I'm pretty much working all day, a full day every day. But what I did was I decided, I kind of put like a date on myself of, what seminars I wanted to go to and how quickly I wanted to finish it. And I basically allotted maybe 2 hours each day to just do one assignment per day. And it was a little frustrating at times because there were times where I just wanted a break and I just wanted to stop. Yeah. But I knew that if I did one assignment per day, I would get it done really fast. Some days I didn't quite finish it, but I'd finish it up the next day. And I knew if I was somewhere close to that, I would be in really good shape. John told me in the very beginning, he said, people will take 3 years to go through this program into level 1. And because you have, I think, 3 years to do it. And he said, Natalie, just make it go away. So that's kind of been my mantra since I started, was just get the work done. Don't sit on it, because it just gets harder, I believe, as you sit on it, because you forget about things and then you're kind of relearning things from seminar. You're kind of forgetting what you read in the manuals. So I just allotted time every day to do it. For me, it usually ends up being the middle of the day. I have a couple hour break, and I just, like I said, I did one assignment per day, and it ended up finishing in 6 weeks. You
literally spent every day out of 6 weeks doing it one assignment per day.
Maybe not on the weekends. Well, sometimes on the weekends, maybe sometimes on the weekends, or maybe say I had, an 8 or 9 hour day because I had an event at Emerald and I was working late and I had to prep for it in the middle of the day and I coached in the morning. Then the next day I would do 2, or over the weekend I would sit there
Yeah,
and
yeah.
do maybe 4 or 5 hours of it. But I pretty much on average did 1 assignment per day, which is totally doable when you break it down like that. It's a lot when you look at the portfolio, but the way I organized it in my computer, it's doable to do 1 per day. It makes it a lot less stressful than looking at it in a whole and just going, I'll get back to that later.
So how did there's different contents. I think there's 8 sections within the level 1 portfolio. How did you break down the 8 sections? Where did you have some sections that you wanted to do first before you get the other sections done? How did you prioritize all the sections?
I pretty much just took them in my folder in my computer and I organized them all into folders of the 8 sections. And then I downloaded the Word document into my computer. And there were certain things that I knew that I needed to sit down with John with, because there were certain things like interview your supervising professional, or there was just certain things that I needed collaboration with other employees. So I would start the things I could do and then hold off on the other things and then maybe start a new assignment. Because if I would have waited for, any employee that I needed collaboration with to be able to do it, or maybe John and Holly were busy, I needed time to be able to sit down with John during certain things and go through some of the financial things of like tournaments that were run. I had to go through financials of a tournament and, discuss things with him and go over pros and cons of different objectives in the portfolio. So I just kind of organized it in the way I did what I could do, and any collaboration material or things I had questions about, I saved and then did more reading and figured that out.
I see. So independently, you did everything that you can every day for a couple of hours, and then whatever you need to work with others in like interviews or teaching, you were able to do that at the end of the process.
Yeah, or when I had time sprinkled in. So say, the teaching part, getting a hold, I did one of my teaching, observing a lesson with Heidi Richardson down at Encinitas Ranch. So obviously collaborating with her schedule and my schedule and her lessons that were okay with it or appropriate for it, that doesn't just happen overnight. So that was reaching out to her in advance, getting multiple different options, and then figuring out which works for the schedule. But again, it's just, for me, it's about staying organized. And I think I'm fairly good at that. So I just stayed really organized through the whole thing. Because I believe it's really easy to get unorganized during this program. And then all of a sudden it just feels like a lot. And then you just set it down for a month or 2 months or whatever. So I just tried to not let that happen.
Was there any section or sections that were more challenging than others? Business planning.
Business planning, I'm not the greatest at math. So doing like Excel spreadsheets definitely was a learning curve, sitting down with John and talking through that and figuring out. It's really nice to have mentors. I sat down with Nikki a couple times that you work with over at Arrowwood and kind of try to figure out, how do I do this? What does this mean? And it's really helpful to be able to collaborate. But probably the financials was difficult. If I had questions, really all the answers are in the manual. So if you don't like open up the manual very much, then it's really easy to not know what's going on. But if I was confused, I would just look at the manual and figure out, I would go through it and search it and figure out what the answers were. I would go back to my seminar notes, because we actually went through most of the portfolio in seminar. And I would write down, in seminar, I knew what was going to confuse me. Like if it was math, I knew it was going to confuse me. So I wrote down everything in advance, and I took notes on certain things that I felt the teacher was emphasizing because it was going to be on the exam. So I kind of would put asterisk next to it because I kind of felt it was going to be on the exam. So that's pretty much how I did that one.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. I think, the word I like to use is gritty. You had a lot of passion and persevered through your hectic schedule, working full time at a golf course and investing 2 hours a day, and then ultimately growth mindset of wanting to learn by getting through the portfolio as soon as you can. So it's really, really impressive. If you were, given your experience for the last, 3-4 months and getting through the level 1 so quickly and just getting the test passed, what advice or advices do you have for those associates on this call, or those associates who will be listening on this call at a later time?
Organization. If you stay organized and you stay on top of it, it's kind of like going back to school after you've taken a long time off. It's just hard to stay motivated. But for me, I set a deadline for myself, and it was basically a due date. Nobody gave me a due date. John and Holly didn't tell me when I had to get it done. The PGA gave me 3 years. But whatever your specific due date is, not 6 weeks, but maybe you want to get it done in 8 months or 1 year, then kind of taking, in 30 minutes with the checklist, they give you a checklist, and just writing down, if I want to get it done in a year, where should I be at the quarter mark of the year, for example? And just trying to stay on that track, I think, is probably the best way to stay organized. So whatever your specific goal is, just staying within that and checking in with yourself and being honest, saying, hey, I've been slacking these last couple months, or hey, you know what, you've been kind of pressing yourself and you're burnt out, and slow down, either one of those two. But just, self-checking with yourself, and maybe having someone hold you accountable. I know I told John and Holly when I wanted to be done, and they were like, what, you're going to be done that fast? Or like, that's crazy. But I told them that. And so they never once were like, okay, time's ticking. But I felt, that I was holding myself accountable because of them, and knowing that, I told them that. So maybe just setting a date and holding yourself accountable through yourself and maybe one of your mentors or something.
Yeah, organization, as you said, I think is critical, as well as time management, which you mentioned already. Based on the fact that you were just a student athlete just a few years ago, I think that really probably helped you to stay the course. What was your initial timetable for the level 1 portfolio when you first started? Did you think that you would get it done in 6 weeks?
Were you the fastest one, like before?
No. I mean, I'm just the oldest. I'm just the oldest, not the fastest.
During the seminar, one of the teachers said, they gave a timetable of who's been through it the fastest.
Yeah. And
they were like, I think someone's done it in a year, and that was the record. And my lights went off like, ding, I'm going to beat that, because I'm just ultra competitive. So I kind of heard that, and I wrote a little note in my seminar notes, and I'm like, okay, less than a year, let's go. And then I figured, with the timetable I was on, I know that summer gets really busy, just insane in the golf industry for everybody, whatever you're doing. Especially for me in the instruction standpoint, the long days in the sun, I don't know if I was doing the portfolio right this second, if I would be as motivated as I was, a couple months ago. So
sure.
Knowing that summer was right around the corner in my busiest season, I wanted to complete it. I definitely had a goal to complete it before summer.
That's great. I mean, if I was the record 1 year, you beat it by 10 and a half months. So congratulations. So,
I got to get through all the levels in a year.
I got all the levels done in 2 years, so we'll see about that.
Okay, well, I'm gonna come for you. So,
what was the test like in terms of level 1? Were they difficult? Were they what you expected? How did you prepare for it?
I was a little nervous for the test, because I know that if you fail, you have to wait 30 days to retake. And I was definitely a little nervous, because that would have put me behind my schedule, and I didn't want to do that. So what I did to prepare is they give you, as everyone knows, they give you the practice packet, and there's probably 500 questions, and they are not multiple choice. And I went through the manual and answered every single question, like all 500 questions. And it took forever. It took me, I mean, it almost took me, it felt like it was more tedious than the portfolio, but every single question was on the exam. And now I look back and go, okay, well, I'm going to be doing that for the next levels too, because it was worth it. Saved me 30 days from having to retake. But every single question was on there. So I went through the practice questions, looked the answers up in the manual, or if I already knew them, I would check myself in the manual, write the answer down, and then read through the questions that I wasn't sure about, and then kind of just quiz myself. I worked with Nikki a little bit. She showed me some different like flashcard things to go through. And I did that and I took it right away. I think one of the things is if you wait to take it, just like if you wait to do the portfolio, you kind of forget certain things.
Yeah.
You forget some of the math equations that are involved. You kind of forget some of the stuff. So I took it, I signed up. Again, I set myself a deadline. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to take it on a Friday. And I just made sure that, I was ready by that Friday, and I just kept quizzing and studying and getting ready for it. And so I passed it on the first try, but I attest that to answering every question in the practice manual.
So it's a lot of preparation, obviously.
Yeah, it was. I mean, maybe you could get away with not doing that, but I don't know if you fail it, then you have to do it again. And I didn't want to be set back 30 days because I was not prepared. A lot of people will take it. I've heard some other associates will like take it, know they're going to fail it, but kind of know what questions are going to be on it. But I just figured that just takes as much time as, going through and passing it on your first try. So I just did it that way.
So from the time you passed the portfolio to time you passed the test, how long was that period?
I was originally planning on taking it right away, but I had some family things come up this summer. So I waited about probably 6 weeks to take it, 8 weeks maybe. Like I said, I was going to take it right away, but I needed to spend the summer with some family hanging out that was in town. And so that kind of was a little bit more important to me. So I ended up taking it once family left town. I ended up taking it like the next week.
What is your plan of attack for level 2?
I already started my portfolio, which I told myself I wasn't going to start till September 1st, but I already started it. So I'm going to go to seminar for executive management, November 7th through 11th. And I've already downloaded and organized the portfolio like I did for level 1. So I know what to expect. My game plan is to hopefully be done or really darn close to done with my portfolio by the time I go to level 2, so that if I have questions about certain assignments, or maybe they go over it like they did in level 1, then I can make the adjustments to the portfolio and submit it shortly thereafter. The plan with that is so I can take the exam right away when it's all fresh in my mind. I don't want to come home, do the portfolio for another couple months, and then forget and take the exam. So hopefully my plan and goal is to be done with level 2 by the end of this year. End of this year? Yeah. Wow, that's pretty impressive. We'll see about that, and good luck to you, Natalie. Thank you, I appreciate it. That's great story to hear about your success with the level 1 portfolio. I think it's, as you mentioned throughout your answers, how critical the mentors play in this process, John and Holly being supportive and being there for you. I think it's incredibly important to have someone be there for you and as you said, make you accountable for your timetable ultimately. And that's why I think it's great to have within within our section, the mentorship program, so we could have a mentor to help you throughout the process. Other than John and Holly, who else helped you throughout this level 1 process Nikki. Nikki, yeah. Nikki helped me a lot. And I also have been coaching, doing junior league, and kind of working with Heidi Richardson over at Encinitas Ranch. She and I used to help her with her junior programs when I first started at Emerald and slightly before that. So, she was always pushing me to go PGA too, and telling me kind of reiterating all the things that John and Holly would say. So I was kind of hearing it from all different sides. So I would say Nikki, John and Holly, and Heidi Richardson. That's great. You have all these supportive people, mentors who are there for you. That's I think all of us on this call and those who will listen to this call at a later time, so critical to have the mentors to assist you, because you can't do it all by yourself. It's just too challenging. What is your takeaway from this first level 1 journey? Now you become
PGA professional and on your way to become a PGA member, is it what you expected from this journey? Is it more? What is your takeaways from your first six months or so, or 4 months or so as a PGA professional?
It's a lot of work, but I've learned a lot. I think I maybe went in thinking that, oh, I'm going to know most of this stuff, just because I've been in the golf industry playing or competing or teaching for what seems like a while. But I've just learned a lot. Simple things like tips on structuring lessons a little better, or the financial matters of the golf course. I've learned a lot, and that's what I'm here. I'm a sponge at this point, and I want to learn all parts of the business. That's why I'm going the executive management route. I feel like that will put me in the best position to hopefully be able to move up and continue my journey at Emerald Isle, and just in general. So just kind of staying on the path and sticking to my plan seems to work. And then, but being open if things change and new developments come.
That's great. We'd love to have someone like you as a young professional to be part of our association, and you have a great bright future. I just wanted to open up the floor for any other questions for Natalie on her portfolio level 1 experience. Any questions out there for her? Any associates who are wanting to know more about how she got it done so quickly? Any questions from the audience before we move on to the next part of the town hall? Don't be shy. Ask away. She's here. Wealth of knowledge. All right. Well, let's move on to the next part, which I'm also very interested in, is your role, responsibilities at Emerald Isle. Can you give us what do you do there on a daily, weekly, monthly basis at the facility?
Yeah, so I am currently the director of instruction there. I'm in charge of all player development, between juniors, junior golf camps, clinics, programs, private lessons, pretty much all of that. I organize, facilitate, and make everything that is in regards to that happen at the Isle.
Oh wow! Such a short time, and you're leading very important responsibility at Emerald. And what are your best practices that you've experienced over the last 4 years from your role, and how maybe that could be repeated at other facilities?
I basically started this by walking into John and Holly's office, writing up sort of a business plan on like a little piece of paper, telling them what I was going to do, how long it was going to take me for, like, say, in the given year. So I said in 2022, we have 0 player development really going on, and I saw a huge deficit. So kind of to answer your question, look at your facility and see what is not going on here that can be going on. What do we have? What do we not have that we need? And I just saw a ton of that going on at the Owl. We have a huge ability to bring in a different customer base than a typical country club, private course, or semi-private course. Emerald has inexpensive green fees. You don't have to wear shoes if you don't want to. You can bring your dog to the golf course. So there's an entire clientele and basis of people that were potentially wanting lessons, but not knowing where to start, where to go, how to do that, and like where they belong. So I found niches, sort of, is how I describe it, for everyone that I can think of. And then if I think of another niche, I just ask John and Holly, and they let me start another program. So currently I have a program for juniors. I have multiple programs for juniors. I have a 55 and up clinic that is really cool. And, there was a middle ground of people saying, well, what about us? There's like junior stuff going on, and there's 55 and up things going on. So I created the young adult clinic, where basically you have like a monthly subscription to every Tuesday from 6 to 7. So it's after work. Everyone comes, they get a beer, they hang out, and it's like a social golf thing where they get a few golf tips, but they make friends and hang out. And that's the group I'm bringing over to Arrowwood tonight to the flight deck. We go on one field trip. We call it a field trip at the end of the month.
Oh, awesome.
And Yeah, and that's that. So I just think finding a niche and doing whatever you can to fill that. And there was a huge opening at Emerald. We had, not really any player development going on, and I knew I could write a business plan to John and sign it and tell him I'm going to do this. So he trusted me to be able to do it, and they let me just start running with it.
That's pretty impressive. You're very young, just fresh out of college, and you saw this vast opportunity at Emerald, and you just seized it. That's right. It's without a lot of experience. So how did you do that? How did you seize that niche market, marketing wise? How did you bring them to Emerald Isle ultimately?
I listen to people. Like I'm walking around and I just kind of listen to what people are saying, what people want. People will tell you what they want. A lot of people just don't listen, but people will tell you exactly what they want, and they'll either give you the ideas by telling you or start something, turning in your head a little bit. So for me, it started out with junior golf stuff. I was doing a Friday clinic. And then I started doing these semi-privates for homeschool. These homeschool kids would come over once a week, and they would pay for a month, and I would do a clinic for them. It was kind of like almost like their PE, or they could get out. And then I was listening to the moms, and they were saying, well, geez, like, look at them having so much fun. We want to do that. So then I started a women's program. And then from the women's program, I was listening, and some of, the older crowd was like, oh, this is maybe a little too much of a party, or maybe, I don't really want to be golfing with people as young or something. So then I started at 55 and up. And like I said, then from there was the middle ground. So I think I just listen. And I think having the support from John and Holly is the utmost importance, because having a boss that trusts you and believes in you is everything. I've never gone into their office with a plan that they haven't said yes to, and for me to just go and do it. And I think that's really important, to have a boss that you trust and will let you experiment with anything. And that's what I've been able to do. I've been really lucky to be able to just have trial and error and a lot of success in the different programs that I've been able to run at Emerald.
So that's tremendous. Having listening is so critical as a leader, and you definitely have done that. And having it's a two-way street, I believe, in terms of the ownership, your boss, and yourself. And I think you provided them enough ammunition for them to trust you, believe in you. That's why they allow you to do what you do. So it's a great benefit for both of you, and as well as the students and in the facility. What is the vision of yourself in the next couple of years, Natalie? You've been successful, and not only in terms of getting level 1 completed, and you're gonna be a member very soon. You built out this great player development program at Emerald Isle. What is next for you?
It's so hard for me to answer that, because if you had asked me 2 years ago, I would have never thought I would have been in the PGA. But as of now, my plan is to finish level 1, finish level 3 and become a full member as soon as I can, hopefully early next year at the latest. And once I'm at that point, I'll have a little bit more time, and I just really want to lean into different programs, lean into how I can give back. This game has afforded me so many opportunities, introduced me to so many people, taken me places, showed me things that I would have never had on my own. So I think for me, my major vision is to just continue to give back. And I know that the more I give back, the more you receive in different ways. And so I just really want to watch, kids grow, adults grow. I want to see the Isle continue to grow, and players get better individually. I'm a huge fan of player development. It makes you feel good. You get to watch people grow. And I just love being able to do that at the Isle. So I want to continue my role there, and then see what else, after I finish full membership, what other opportunities at Emerald that I have.
Great. Sounds like a plan. Actually, last question I have for you is go back to the original conversation, is become a PGA member. What will it mean to you when you become a PGA member, hopefully early next year, getting the whole process completed? And for me, when I became a PGA member, I was kind of old. I was 49 years old, and And it meant a lot, actually. The day I passed that test was pretty cool, the feeling that I got. What would it mean for you to become a PGA member?
It will also mean a lot. I mean, the PGA, as I'm seeing, is it's a huge club of people that are all really supportive of each other for the most part. I mean, I go different places and it's really cool to have that next to my name, even though I'm just an associate right now, and have people support you. And there's a whole team of people behind you, whether they're your mentors, the headquarters, anybody. If you reach out, I feel like they're there. I went to the last meeting at Morgan Run, and I found out that there's only, I think 7% of
Yeah,
PGA
woman.
members,
Yeah.
right, are women. And I thought to myself, wow, that I want to represent really well in that demographic. I feel that I can make a name for myself for Emerald and continue to grow the game and do player development and see how I can change the golf world as a female. I feel like I'm in a kind of my own little niche doing that, and just continuing to make myself proud. The golf course, ownership, everything it's just going to mean the world to me when I can be on the same playing field, kind of.
Yeah, it's when you become a member, it's definitely feels great, and I mean, being part of this association will be even greater. I mean, one of the things I really didn't enjoy about being an associate is being being called an associate. It was a pain. I just don't want to hear it anymore. And stop calling me an associate. I want to be a member. So
100%
that was
agree.
a huge incentive for you to become a member. Great. I think those are excellent feedback from you to my questions. Again, I will open up the floor for any questions from the audience. There's I think 13 of you on this call. Any comments, questions for Natalie? You answered the question so well, Natalie. They have no questions for you.
Thank you so much, Tom. Appreciate it.
John and Holly, as mentors, owners of Emerald Isle, any feedback from Natalie's discussion today?
Well, we're proud, of course.
Very proud.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah, you
think
should be.
we're so lucky that Nat walked through the doors, and we're so lucky. I mean, I know we do this a lot, but we have to give back thanks to Tom Addis, because what we have been able to give to Nat is what Tom gave to us. And it's basically unconditional support, the total high five on anything that we wanted to do, that we were looking to do. And I think that's, any apprentices that are, I'm sorry, I say apprentice, associates that are on the call, don't hesitate to ask for help.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the key. And if you maybe don't feel that in your place necessarily, or you're not comfortable, come to the aisle. I mean, call us is what I'm saying. There's a lot of support out there, and we're just really proud of Nat. And she truly has initiated all of this, and we haven't said no because there's nothing to say no to at this point. So truly.
That's great. But come to Arrowwood, okay? I mean, not just Emerald Isle, come to Arrowwood. Great city of Oceanside. Come to Oceanside.
Go Oceanside.
Field trips to Arrowwood.
I'll be there tonight, 6 to 8 with my dog.
Yeah.
Mr. Addis, any comments from you before we close the call?
Yeah, thanks. I was just going to raise my hand. Holly, thank you very much for that compliment. The two of you have always been great leaders, not only within the PGA, but as in the game and our business. And the pleasure I had to work with you at Singing Hills for so many years, and you showed the best. That's what I want to say, Tom, is that I think anyone and Natalie, as you go forward, anyone in the golf business, and especially in the management side and the leadership side, should always look for the best in anybody and everybody. And if you bring out the best, that's only going to help everyone. It's going to help your patron and your customer. It's going to help your fellow workers. It's going to help who you work with and who you supervise, whatever piece of the business you're in. If you bring out the best and work to bring out the best of anybody, everybody's going to succeed, and everybody's going to be better for it. Granted, it's not going to happen everywhere, but your effort should be to bring out the best wherever you are. So thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Addis, for your feedback.
Thanks, Natalie.
You.
And thanks,
Nat-
Natalie and John.
One thing I remember about what Natalie's comments was that 2 years ago, she did not know that she was going to be where she is today. And that's awesome, because what I call that is outperforming your potential. You thought you were this person 2 years ago, but now you're someone that you didn't think you can be. And I think 2 years from now, she'll probably say the same thing about herself, doing something more spectacular than what she's doing today. And that's what it takes. It takes every day putting the 2 hours in to get the portfolio done and getting to level 2 and get to level 3, and the same thing over and over again. Become a PGA member, expanding your business, understanding business better. And that's how you outperform your potential. And Natalie has done that for the last 2 years. And I'm sure she'll continue to do that, where she can say, I did not know I was going to be here where I am today, 2 years from now. So that's a great story to hear. That's why she was our special guest today. And before we end the town hall, Natalie, any last minute guide or suggestions, comments, guidance, recommendations for those associates in level 1?
I think I pretty much said it all. I think just reiterating organization. I think that's just in life in general. It's probably especially going a tedious program is the best thing you can do. But I just want to thank you for having me on. It truly is an honor to be asked to be here. I know that I'm working hard and doing the best I can, but to be recognized here and there is great. And I appreciate all the support. I know I can call you for anything over there at Arrowwood also. So I really appreciate having me on this call.
Anytime, Natalie. It was a pleasure to speak to you today, to get to know you better and hear your story. Again, last questions, comments before we end the call? Okay, thanks everyone for joining today. I know everyone's been very busy on a Wednesday afternoon. This will be again recorded. For those who can't make it live, we'll be able to hear this call at a later time on YouTube or SCPGA website under education, under town hall. Natalie, this is the first time on town hall as a special guest, but it won't be the last, because after level 2, level 3, I'll have you on again to highlight what you went through in those 2 levels, and ultimately to see whether you beat my 2 years as becoming a member. Okay.
Tom, I'm gonna whoop you, but just
I love it.
I love it.
no, big shoes to fill. Big shoes to fill. I
Love
know
it.
that I've got a lot of work to do, and now that I know I'll be back, there will be even more of a fire under my butt to keep going.
We look forward to the next town hall in early 2023.
Yes.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
Nat.
much.
Great
Super
job,
proud.
guys.
Bye. Miss you guys.
Yeah, we'll see you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Take care.